Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to episode 91 of the San Marino Challenge. Now, today's episode is of course going to be the first Serie A game of the season against Udinese. We're also going to go over some new signings at the club that hopefully will turn our fortunes around in the Champions League. We also have one pretty big departure, and we'll get into that in a second. We'll go over pre-season fixtures first, and then I'll go into the transfers, because obviously I'm going to spend a lot more time in that. So the first game we played was against Club America. Managed to beat them 2-0. We then beat Everton 3-0. Marseille 2-0. Sociedad 2-0 as well. We then got smashed by Benfica 4-1. Pretty disappointing pre-season game there, if I'm being honest. And then finally, we managed to beat Shakhtar 3-0. All right. Let's get into the transfers. Now, we'll do the outs first. As you can see, we have sold a lot of players. A lot of players. I've sort of done a bit of a clear out in terms of players that weren't going to feature at all. And obviously, quite a few contracts were sort of running out as well. So we've gotten rid of a few. Anyway, first player that left was Matavina. He went to FC Cologne for 300k, so a very cheap transfer. In terms of profit, we actually did make a profit on him. We bought him for 80k, well, quite some time ago, really. And he never really developed past a pretty average level. So, yeah, we just decided to let him go. Contract was running out. He's been on loan every season. And, yeah, time to go for him. The same with the next player, Squizzato. He left for Celta Vigo for 4.3 million pounds. Again, Squizzato's contract was running out. I mean, he was valued at like 9 million, so I was trying to get about 9. And, yeah, clubs weren't really too interested in him at that sort of price range. So we dropped it a little bit, and then we got a few clubs interested at about the £4 million mark. Now, the next player we let go of, another one to FC Cologne, and that was Christian Foschi for £5 million. A bit of an interesting one, this one, because, spoiler alert, we sold Chanpalat. So I looked at this guy and I was like, he might be a pretty decent backup. However, again, his contract was also running out, and all these players wanted like 40k per week, which is really weird. Like Foschi Matavina wanted like 30k or something, and he wanted to be a first teamer. And I was just like, there's just literally no way that I'm going to be offering these contracts to these players. Anyway, the next player that left was a pretty annoying transfer, and that was Ben Amor. Of course, came in last season for £10 million. Really messed this one up. I definitely messed this one up. We sold him for just under 6 million, 5.25, with another 500k, I think, in appearance fees in the future. So we almost lost essentially we lost about 4.75 mil on the transfer. Not the greatest, but again, was never going to play. There's two other players in front of him, in Zaffarani and Brambati. So time for him to leave. I'll take it on the chin. A bit of a mistake, but we move on. Now, I mentioned Chanpalat. He left the club for Hebei China Fortune for 12.75 mil. Again, another loss. Of course, we brought him in for 15.5 from Dortmund. So we lost a little bit on that one as well, about 3 million. So, yeah, it's not great. But again, I mean, if you look at his wages, 145k per week. He was on about 57, I want to say. I think he was on 57. And basically, he would not accept a contract under 120. That was his sort of final negotiation with us. So I had to let him go. He was up and down last season. He scored 11 goals, had 16 assists, which is great. It's a lot better than Albani's output, albeit he played a lot more than Albani did. So, yeah, I don't know. it's a bittersweet moment. You know, I have a soft spot for Chan Palat, especially like the early days with him. But yeah, time to go. He's gone to China. He's getting his money that he wanted. So, you know, happy days for him, I guess. We then loaned out Petrocevic again, this time to Inter Milan, and we're getting 200k per month. So a 2 million loan fee there, which is pretty good for a season. To be fair, I was pretty close to actually keeping him at the club. He's got 8 caps for Croatia, and he actually looks pretty good. Can also play defensive mid, which is a decent little, you know, backup thing to have in his locker. But yeah, they came in with a loan offer, 2 million for a season. I think that's a good little bit of business. You know, we do have an abundance of centre midfielders. We even have Diallo in the youth team, who at the moment can't even break into the first team. I'm going to look to try and embed him in there because we have actually sold another centre midfielder. But yeah, the next player that left was Bernardi to AC Prato. Of course, Bernardi is the national team goalkeeper at the moment. Just wanted him to get some first team football. He's too old to play in the under-20s now as well, being 22 years old. So he's going to play down in Lega Pro, which is, you know, it's not too bad. It's a somewhat decent level. The next player we sold was Vitek. We sold him to Dynamo Kiev for 6.75 million up front, and then I think it goes up to 8.25 in the future with his appearance fees and stuff like that. So yeah, basically we've brought in 2 really, really good right wingers, and it was just time to go for Vitek. He's 27 now. I mean, we made doubled our money on him. He's been a great servant to the club. I can't knock the guy. I didn't really rate his ability in terms of his attributes, but boy did he prove me wrong on the pitch. Anyway, he left. We then loaned out Terenzi, again, you know, one of the national team players. Loaned him out to Foggia in, I think, Lega Pro as well. Yeah. So it's not great. A lot of our, you know, national team players are kind of Lega Pro, Series C, 3rd Division talents at the moment, you know, which isn't great. Anyway, the next player let go on loan was Marcio to Internacional in Brazil. And basically they'll be paying us 800k for the rest of the season in loan fees. The next player let go was a youth player, Limone, and he went to Spal on loan. Interesting, you know, they're in the top flight with us, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. 650k loan fee for the season for him. Now the next player we sold, Sokolic, to Manchester United. They've taken another one of our centre mid prospects. Well, he's a prospect. Brutos was more of a first teamer. But yeah, they paid £45.5 million up front, and then a 49. Well, it'll go up to 49 with the appearance fees. So just shy of £50 million. It was a hard transfer to accept, but ultimately we have replacements, and he's probably the weakest, if I'm honest, of the replacements. Of the prospects in terms of his position. So, you know, he does have some good stats. Like, he's got really good physicals, got 19 vision, which was hard to let go of. But again, just can't really turn down that money, especially when we have so many good centre mid prospects. Now, this next transfer was probably a bit of a mistake, and that is Jin Yongji. I loaned him out, the South Korean, to RC Strasbourg in France. Basically, they're going to play him as a key player, and they're going to pay us 2.5 million for the season with his loan. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a really good deal, but we are going to be short at the back. We only have 3 centre backs at the club at the moment. I did try and bring Evers back, but he went to Milan, and they've actually signed him. So he went on a loan to Milan with a 40 mil future fee, and then they activated it straight away. It was really weird. But yeah, and there was no real good players on the loan list. I didn't really feel like bringing in another player just for the sake of it. There is a couple of free transfers that I can bring in if I'm desperate, but I don't really want to do that. But it is an option. Anyway, the next player we let go on loan was DeAngelis. Of course, he is the national team striker at the moment. He's doing pretty well. As you can see, 19 caps, 8 goals. We did play friendlies just recently. I'll show you the results there. Not the greatest results, although we were versing pretty good teams at the same time. But yeah, he's gone to Albino Leffe in Serie B as a key player in terms of his playing time. So that's a really good move for the 18-year-old. And I'm really hoping that he will actually develop while he's there. Because that'd be really beneficial. If he can develop a little bit more to the point where I don't have to try and play him in the first team, at all, that would be ideal. And the final player sold was Caione, who is an Italian single nationality youth academy graduate. Basically, we sold him to Atalanta for £1 million plus 40% of next sale. So, if he develops into something special, they sell him. We almost get half of the transfer, so that's pretty good. Now, this is the part you're all probably looking forward to, the ins. I mean, you've probably been looking at the screen for a little while. The first player we brought in was Jordi Rowells from Man City. What was it? 14.5 million pounds. And this guy, I wouldn't call him world class. I would say he's just under that. Whatever that would be, above average, an elite player, whatever you want to call it. I would say he's probably there. Really good physicals, apart from obviously jumping, but being a winger, you probably don't really need to do that. But where it gets me is his crossing and dribbling. I mean, he's got good first touch there as well. And he can also play right back, which is versatile. He can actually also play on the left wing because he's either-footed. So the amount of positions that he actually can cover is part of the reason as to why I actually signed him. He is 28 years old. He's on 93k per week for another 3 years. So by the time his contract is up, we can either sell him on or, we can keep him and let him sort of, drift off into the unknown once his contract does run out. So I think it's a really good bit of business there, especially for the price, 14.5 million. You look at how much they spent. He's formerly of Juventus as well. I actually do remember him being there. He might have even scored a goal against us. I can't remember, but 55 million Man City paid, and we signed him for 14.5, albeit it was about 3 years after, but still, really good bit of business there. And the next player is, I'm really excited about this guy, Stan Rossen from NEC in Holland, 19-year-old Dutch right winger. He can't play right midfield, which is scary, but we are retraining him there, obviously, hoping that he'll, become a natural in the position. But just look at his stats. He's a world-class player in the making. He really is. Needs a little bit of work on the physicals, the pace and the acceleration, agility. They're a little bit low, but look at his crossing and dribbling, first touch as well, the flair off the ball. Oh, he could be something special. He really could. Stan Rossen is going to play a lot this season, a lot. So I'm super excited about that. The crossing and dribbling, every time I look at it, it just looks so good. So good. Yeah, really happy with that. We actually activated his release clause at NEC, and that was 19.75 million, which is pretty expensive, but not really for that type of quality player. And the final player, the return of a club... Well, is he a club legend? Let's have a quick look. General So he's not a club legend, but I assume he's in here somewhere. Where is he? Is he not there? Okay. He's only favoured personnel. Really? I mean, he won a Champions League with us. Yeah. It is Mattia Viviani. We got him on loan from Man City. They wanted 40 million for him. I don't really feel like paying. You know, we took them for a ride, basically. We sold him to him for, what was it, 46? Yeah. We sold him to him for 46. Season after, he's coming back on loan for 40k per week, you know, wages. Very low. I mean, he's essentially the same player. He hasn't really decreased at all. And he's only 31. And if needed, he can play centre-back. So I'm kind of hoping we won't need him to play there, but he can. And if we do, obviously, he'll slot in there pretty nicely as well. Happy days. Not many transfers coming in, a lot going out. Made £87 million and only spent 34.5. So I think we've done pretty well. We've done pretty well. Anyway, let's have a look at the lineup for today's game against Udinese. Going to be a pretty, you know, you would think it's going to be a fairly easy game, albeit, you know, you can never really say that in terms of a first episode of a new season. So yeah, in goals we're going to go with Ingvarsson. Right back will be Brambati, Sabir and Cervellini will be the two centre halves. Michelotti will be at left back. Novi's going to start. We didn't loan out Gofferon, so he will be getting a fair amount of playing time this season. I really like the look of him. I don't think he developed too much on loan last season, but you know he is definitely an upgrade, I would say, on Novi. You know, no discredit to Novi. He's been a stalwart in the team. Anyway, in front of him is going to be Hendrick and Mazzari. Is it going to be? Is Viviani back? Yeah, okay. We're going to go with Viviani and Hendrick, I think. And then we'll bring Mazzari back on the bench. That looks a little bit nicer, I think. Yeah, we're going to go with that. So yeah, Viviani will partner Hendrick. Then we're going to go with Famato on the left wing. Rolls will make his debut on the right wing. We'll test Rolls out first. He's the more experienced player. And of course, he's a natural in the right wing position. So we'll go with him for this first game. But like I said, Rossen is going to play a lot. And up front, we're going to go with Albani. The bench today is going to be Sogodogo, Schmatke, Zaffarani, Gotheron, Hildebrandt, Rossen, Pugh, Adam, and Mazzari. Like I said, we've got other options in the under-20s at the moment as well. Of course, the striker that I got from the last youth intake is, well, he's already better than De Angelis, and of course he's rejecting the call-ups to the San Marino national team. Probably going to be another Albani case where he chooses to play for Italy over us. It's just the inevitable future for these dual nationality players. It's really disappointing, but again, there's nothing I can really do. Just got to keep improving the national team ranking. I think we're at 141 at the moment, which is pretty good. You know, it's progress. But it's safe to say, with all these players that I've had come through the academy that are dual nationality, if I had all of them playing in the national team, we would be much, much better off. We would probably already be qualifying for the Euros and for the World Cup. So it's a little bit demotivating. But again, at the same time, there's nothing I can do about it. I've just got to keep chugging along. Every now and then we do get a pretty decent, I would say, an average type international level player. As Famato gets the opening goal there. Assist to Michelotti. Good to see. 18 minutes in. Finally get the breakthrough there. It's just one of those things where we're going to keep getting the average players and we'll keep building it up, and then hopefully will eventually be able to tempt some of these players over, especially if they don't really get called up at around the 24-year-old age. I would say is probably a bit of a sweet spot. Anyway, let's get back to the game. I'm sort of rambling on about the national team. All right, Albani's not really playing too well. He's on a 6.6. Famato in behind. Ooh, that's not really like him. He probably should have put that away. And there he does. He puts it away. From a header as well. It's a little bit odd. Don't really see Famato heading the ball in the back of the net. And Albani actually got the assist there as well, so that has definitely helped his rating as we go into half-time. Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, 2-0 up, first game of the season. I'm pretty happy with that so far. And it's worth noting, guys, I'm really still enjoying this series. Obviously, the Atlanta United series has come out. Hasn't been too well received, but I do kind of understand that the MLS is, an acquired taste. I know a lot of people either don't understand it or they don't really care about it in terms of, the world of football. Anyway, we're going to make some subs here. We'll bring Rosson on for Rolls. And then I think we'll also bring on Andy Adam. Unfortunately for Mato, we're going to prevent him from getting a hat-trick here today. He's a little bit fatigued. Basically, also want Andy Adam to get some game time. He was a pretty good prospect. Before his injuries last season, he picked up two pretty nasty ones, which was unfortunate. All right, we're approaching the end of the game here. Still only 2-0 up. We didn't really do anything in this second half. Barely any highlights. Can we get one? Can we get a goal at the end here? Brambati to Rosson. Loses out. And he can't get the ball back. And Udinese are now on the counter-attack. Oh my God. Ingvarsson with the double save. Now, he's a club legend. Ingvarsson, he came in during Serie B. And he's still here. He's like 27, 28 maybe. I think I'm going to make him retire at the club. I know I say that, or I might have said that about other players. But I think he should retire. And I would love to bring him back as a coach. A goalkeeping coach or something like that. Even if his stats are pretty horrible. Just looking out for the boys. Anyway, should be full time. Just over the 3 minutes, and there we go. Starting the season off on a pretty good note, albeit their goalkeeper picked up a 7.2 match rating as well. But yeah, overall, I'm definitely happy with that. And that's a great start. We'll praise Famato there as well. And we'll wrap the episode up. Just want to say thank you for all the support, guys. I really appreciate it. We've gained a lot of subscribers since I've, come back the last, 5-6 months. So I really appreciate it. I do. If you could drop a like, that'd be also much appreciated. Subscribe as well if you haven't already. And yeah, make sure you hit the notification bell, and that'll keep you up to date with these episodes coming out in the future. See you guys. Take it easy, and goodbye.